Okay, I wanted to use this as an example of how to use the VLOOKUP command. A VLOOKUP command is something that I've found real valuable and I use very frequently. What I'm going to do is use it on our EDLP report. This is a report ran out of Compass, and this is every item that is in the EDLP program by item number, as you can see here. And these are the sales from September 1st to November 14th, 2013. Now, over here in a separate report, what I have got is the same items, but for the period September 1st to November 14th, 2012. So what I'm first going to do is get all this into different tabs in the same workbook. So I hit Control A to select everything, and I hit Control C to copy it. And now what I'm going to do is come over here. This is my 2013 tab. I'm going to create a new workbook, or a new tab, and hit Control V to paste it over. So now I'm going to label this as 2012, and I'm going to come over here and say net sales. Actually, I like to have the units over here so I can see sales and margin together. Delete that, and what we're going to do is see, get this formatted the way I like it. What we're going to do is see how many of these same items we sold last year. And when you got 150 items like this, it's very laborious to try to look up each one manually and type it in. So we're going to use the VLOOKUP command. And what the VLOOKUP command does is it says look for a specific item in a range, and then when you find it, you tell it what value you want it to return. And I'll illustrate that with an example. We'll say equals V lookup, and there's about 4 things that you need to put in. The first one is, what do you want to look up? Well, I want to look up my item number, so I'm going to select that. The second is, where do I want to look it up? And this is one of the nuances. You come over here, and it is going to look for that item number in the very first row of data you select. Now I'm going to select starting here and going over and all the way down. Okay, so now I have told it what I want it to look up. I've told it where I want it to look. It's going to look in this column. Now I need to tell it what value to return. What it does is it finds this value, and then to tell it where to return, you say how many columns to go over. So column A would be 1, B would be 2, C would be 3, D would be 4, and E would be 5. Now I want it to return net sales. So I have told it where to look. Now I'm going to tell it what value to return. And then the last thing you do is you say, do you want it to return a value if it has an exact match or an approximate match? And I want an exact match, so I'm going to say false, and then I close my parentheses, and presto, I don't know what happened to the screen there, but there it is. That says it looked up this item number, it looked it up in this range of data, it found it here, and it returned the value in the column that was 1, 2, 3 columns over. So now I'm going to label this net sales, and what I can do is, it's always a good idea to lock your formula. You lock it by putting a $ in front of each row and column that you use, and that way when I copy it down, it copies down, and you'll notice that this is A2 to E124. When I copy it down, it stays at A2 and E124. If you didn't do that, what it would be doing is it would be moving from A2 down to A3, down to A4, down to A5, and we don't want to do that. So now you get an NA here because this tells me that this Prilosec OTC 14 count Wildberry, we sold none of those in the prior year. So what I'm going to do is get this formula updated for gross margin and net sales units. So I'm going to copy it over and then edit it. So now I've copied it over, and you'll notice it went from A2 to B2 when I move it over, or I want to stay at A2, so I'll change that. And I know that gross margin is the fifth one over, so I want to change that to 5. Then I'll make similar changes here. I have to make this A2, and then I want to make this 4 because 4 columns over is the units, and there we go. So now I can just take these and go Control C and paste it all the way down. And there we go. Now, I want to highlight this one more time. What you do is you start off with saying, what do I want to look up? I want to look up A5. I want to find that value right there somewhere. Then you say, where do I want to find it? Well, we're going to go to the 2012 tab, and we're going to look at the range A2 to E124. So I'm going to look here, and it's going to look in the A column to find this value. Once it finds it, I want it to return a value that is 3 columns over from where it found this, which is what this 3 is. And I only want it to return something if it gets an exact match. So that's why I put false in there. So that's the basics of VLOOKUP. Now from here, I'm going to go through and change my NAs to 0, because that means we didn't sell any of them last year. And looks like we don't have a whole lot of NAs. And I'm just going to sum up everything to say how many units did I sell, what was my margin, what was my gross sales. And then I'll come over here and calculate the change in sales, change in margin, and change in units. So and then we'll just go so we've got our formulas, we'll copy it down, and this EDLP program is new, so it's still somewhat gaining momentum and people are becoming aware of it and getting used to it, so we really haven't gotten a lot of traction on it at this point, but we're going to continue to monitor it and continue to work on it. And then I'll sum up all of this. And then one of the things that I think is interesting is we can then take this data and look at what's really working and not working in the EDLP program. You highlight it all, then you go to data and you want to sort it, and I click header rows because I've got all my headers up here. I wanted these to be the titles of what I'm sorting by, and I can say let's sort by change in net sales units, and I can see that these are the things that are really down in sales from a units perspective, and it's milk and digital prints, and it looks like I've got almost 20,000 fewer units of those things sold this year, and I've only got 21,000 down in total, so almost all of my decline is in those units. So anyway, that was a quick example of the VLOOKUP command and how you use sort.